Clark University and the company that caters its dining facilities are apologizing this morning. They're saying sorry for what's being called a racially insensitive lunch served during Black History Month. The Black History Month themed menu has faced plenty of backlash as it included ribs, collard greens, cornbread, Kool-Aid, and watermelon-flavored water. Sophomore Nia Ashari Harris went to Facebook on Tuesday to express her displeasure and distaste, writing on Facebook, quote, "In 2018, there's no excuse for intentional and deliberate disrespect. NYU and the catering company, Aramark, have issued an apology, and some employees have since been fired." Chad Lassiter joins us this morning to discuss more about this. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning. Tell me your first reaction when you heard about this.
Not surprised. Deeply rooted in the birth of a nation. The thing that I want to highlight is the fact that this student used social media from a social justice perspective to get the word out. Black history is so much more than menus and food, deeply rooted in the stereotypical notions of Kool-Aid and watermelon juice, collard greens, cornbread, macaroni and cheese. It's so much bigger. The Black Student Union at NYU was already engaged in a Black History Month program. And so there's no need to engage in menus thinking that telling the story of Black people in America is rooted in our food. It's so much more. It's Fannie Lou Hamer, it's Ida B. Wells, it's Du Bois, and there's multiple others.
So you think keeping the lesson out of the cafeteria would have been the best bet for NYU?
The best bet. And then the individuals who created the menu didn't follow policy because they didn't get permission to actually make the food for that menu, and they did it upon themselves. They've since been fired. But what we see is in 2018, we see emboldenedness around the era that we find ourselves in, an era of racial intolerance.
I think I was reading Nia's Facebook post and some of the comments that came below it. So let's play devil's advocate.
Okay.
I will. Some
or
people say
angel's
advocate. They said, well, Nia, what would have been an appropriate non-offensive menu? How would you answer that, Chad?
I would just simply say that you don't have to even engage in having a menu, but we definitely don't want to have Kool-Aid, and we definitely don't want to have watermelon juice. You could have done something like what Patti LaBelle does, cook food from a cultural, social standpoint as it relates to soul food. So it could have been, you know, some other foods, but it definitely couldn't have been that. You know, when we talk about Kool-Aid, we know that it has a stereotypical notion in poverty-stricken communities.
So I think I know your answer to the next one. Some people are asking the question, what's the difference between this menu and a soul food themed restaurant?
Soul food themed restaurant, if we look at City of Philadelphia, when you look at Relish or you look at Warm Daddies or you look at Miss Tootsie, it has foods, but it doesn't have the stereotypical satire around the Kool-Aid, and it doesn't have the watermelon juice.
And I think that's what bothered her the most.
Yeah,
I think
certainly.
she was puzzled by the food items, but I think she said in her email to the staff members, I think, as beverage choices today, there was a red Kool-Aid and watermelon flavored water. This happened to be the most, I think that's what upset her the most.
Stereotypical and then racially insensitive, but you know, the president jumped on it. She should be commended for what she did, and we need to have teachable moments like this.
I was going to say, you are always working with students, so this is a perfect example of how sometimes you speak your truth online.
Yeah.
She wrote a letter, and she took matters into her own hands instead of just complaining to friends and something happened.
Yeah, definitely, and one of the things that we have to do is create a paradigm shift because she did receive some backlash. People were like, what's the big deal?
Right.
And you're going to have those people. Some will, some won't. So what? The thing is that she stood in her truth, and now we're talking about it, and hopefully it'll bring about change.
We have a conversation going, and that's what the whole point of it is, right?
Always good to see you.